Hey everybody. So I guess today I just wanted to share a quick little work in progress video with you guys regarding my master grade Ez-8. And I haven't done too much lately with it, but I figured there's enough to show here, and then I can at least let you know what my basic plans with the kit are going to be, more or less. But to start, I guess I'll show off some of this internal frame that I've already built. Here's the leg, or the upper leg, and the knee. It's got a little swivel at the top part, and then it'll allow for more on the lower leg. It's got a ball joint attachment up here, and it looks pretty nice. Then I got the arms done here. Pretty nice. I got a full 180 bend. It's got the screw and the nut in there, and the little ball joint attachment for the shoulder swivels like that up there and turns left and right. So pretty standard articulation here. Ball jointed wrist and fingers move. They got a 3-finger trigger finger split here. It's kind of a wide split, but for the time I guess it was the best they could do, and it's not bad. I don't mind it really. And then the thumb is ball jointed and individually mobile. So overall, for 2000, the year 2000, I can't complain. It looks pretty good. It feels pretty good. And I haven't done too many details on the inner frame, and I don't really plan to. Because for me, this is a kit that is primarily going to be about the external cosmetics. You know, dry brushing. You know, a little bit of weathering, maybe slight battle damage. You know, I don't want to go nuts on this thing. I don't want to make it look like it's been through a war, but I want to make it look like it's been dinged up a little bit, you know, like a real machine. But for the most part, those are details that are going to remain on the outside. And before I go charging ahead with any of that, I am going to want to look at some tutorials on how people do that, so that I can do it the best possible way, if I can. But anyway, there is a bit more to show in terms of what I've done. It's mostly detailing though. I haven't really built much more besides the internal frame here. But some of the detail parts, some of the things I like the most, are right here. These are the two little front parts that are inside the front opening chest panel, and as you can see, the main overall piece is slightly metallic in comparison to the plain plastic. Well, that overall metallic color is resulted from a very light coating, almost a dry brushing, of this craft acrylic metallic pewter color. I don't know if they make this particular brand of paint anymore, this Delta Ceramics, but I'm sure you could find any comparable color of paint. It's basically a gunmetal color. You could probably even find this in Humbrol paints, one of which I'll show in a minute. But at any rate, a light coating of this was applied to the whole thing, and then that resulted in this sort of darker iron metallic color, which I really like. Sort of more rough and tumble looking metallic color, and not just some bright chrome, silver, shiny. You know, that doesn't really fit this kind of a machine, really. However, the other details here, if you'll notice the little fan turbine things and the little vents down here on the bottom here, those lighter details, I achieved those with, let's see, a light coat of this Floquil gunmetal paint. Very light coat of that. There are these little circular bits in the yellow there, and that was done with a light coat of this Floquil brass, which turned out pretty nice. There is the piping here alongside that brass color, as well as all around the the fan here, the turbine there, as well as a little tiny dot right inside. And I did those details with a color I really like, this Humbrol acrylic bronze. I'm not familiar with the entire name, if it's like antique bronze or dull bronze, I forget. But it's model number, or paint number 171, and it's the acrylic variety. So this turns out pretty cool. I kind of like the cap system they've got where you pop it open. And then you've got this little color cup ready up on the top there. I thought that was pretty cool. And apparently you can airbrush that stuff as well. And it seems pretty durable. I like it. And then there was one other color. Ah, yes. If you look right inside that cylinder in the very center, that color that's right on that dot there in the middle, my finger's just touching it. That was done with a light touch of Floquil copper. It's a rather nice color. And for the most part, those are going to be the sort of metallic colors I might use on any sort of external details, internal details, or what have you. You know, if it's going to be metallic, it's probably going to be one of those colors. And I think they all work pretty nice together. You know, it's not too flashy. It looks realistic, at least in my opinion. So besides that, the only other thing I've really done on here is the antenna, or one of them. I did the little red dot on the top, and then that little metallic bit down there on the base is done with the Humbrol bronze. So I guess I just really liked that color, so I went a little haywire with it. But the red was done, if I'm remembering right, with this Apple Barrel Cardinal Crimson color. It's sort of a lower key red. It's not bright, vivid red, but it's still not too dark, like a maroon or anything like that. And also, there are a few other things. Down here on the bottom of the feet, in this teal colored plastic, I've done some gray detailing on the inside there. And all of this will be top coated, so the difference between the shiny plastic and the dull paint will be less apparent upon the final product. And as you can see, I did the feet, I did a little bit of the panel lining on that shield there, and I also did the little X detail in the chest there. And the color I used for that was this Tamiya German Gray. I find it's pretty close to the color of the internal frame. It's not exact, but I think it's close enough that it won't scream like, oh my god, this is a different color. You know, I'm not that concerned. And then one of the last things I've done, or one of the few last things I've done, is detail the insides of these thrusters a little bit. Down there at the very bottom is Humbrol brass. And this is a better sample of it here on the square there. I like how it looks. And then along the edges of the inside, and I know it's really hard to see, I've done a light coating of the this color, the pewter. And I was sort of going for like the inside of this to have like a burnt metal look, like a bare exposed unpainted burnt metal look. But the outside, I'm planning to simply dull coat and leave like sort of a darker color like that. Like it was painted on the outside, but the inside is all burnt and charred up and dull colored. But anyway, I got that done for those pieces, and a couple other things, sort of minor. I did the, where is it? There. I did the faceplate with the two black lines, which was kind of hard, actually. The molded detail for those grills, they're way too thick, and there's not enough space in between them and they just look all fat and chunky. So I did my best to sort of trim them down myself, and I think they look okay. I mean, that's probably the best I'm gonna do. So, and the only other thing I did here was the goatee, the red goatee there. That isn't a piece that comes separate or anything. So I painted that also with the Cardinal Crimson. And beyond that, most of this stuff is going to have to be dry brushed and, you know, weathered up a bit. Maybe some internal frame color spread throughout, like maybe on the bottom of this cover piece for the chest there. You see all the separation there. I might do some internal color there or whatever. But as you may remember, I am planning on coloring certain things like the shield and like the beam rifle and a few other things in a color that reflects what would be a part of the original ground type Gundam. And the color I've sort of settled on is this French light blue gray from Testers. And it's really hard to see it here, I guess, sort of. But I guess you can sort of make out the difference. So anyway, it'll dry a little darker than this, and it'll give these other pieces a look as if they were sort of borrowed from the main stock of shields and weaponry that come to the entire platoon, you know? It wasn't like the Ez-8 got its own custom shield. Because if you look in the show, and I have a few pictures, you'll see that the mobile suit is using weaponry and shields that are colored differently than the main body. And so I just wanted to reflect that in all the pieces I thought it would be appropriate for. So of course, after I paint that, I'll apply the dry transfer Ez-8 on there, and do that for the chest as well, except, you know, I don't need to paint that. I'll just need to top coat it, dull coat it. Because I like the color that this is already, and I don't figure it's worth it to find a paint that's the exact same color, and then paint it, and then top coat it, and then add the, you know, decals, or I don't think it's in that order, but you know what I mean. Just the few other things will be painted with an airbrush. Unfortunately, I'm not positive if I'll get to do that kind of stuff before winter rolls around. It kind of has already begun here. And, you know, the cold is not going to be good for the paint. It won't be good for the results. And I just don't want to be out in the cold that much. And I have no other way of really painting any kits except by going outside. But anyway, the last thing would be the eyes and the forehead camera. Now what I did here was I first laid down a coat of this flat black acrylic on the eye border thing, and then I scraped off the raised portion of the eyes from the black there and cleaned that off, and then I applied a light coat of primer on both the forehead camera and the eyes. And then between, you know, the molding and everything else, you know, it wasn't really definite. That's one thing I'm noticing with this kit, is there's a little bit of flash, and some of the molding isn't as precise as I'd like it to be. Same thing with that face grill. But anyway, I shaped the eyes just the way I like between the primer and the black, so that they had the precise look I was looking for. And then I just slightly dabbed on a little red to the eyes. It's fluorescent red, by the way. And because I haven't shown this in quite a while, figured I might as well show you the eyes. I think they look pretty. Okay, sorry about that. My camera just cut out for no apparent reason whatsoever. If you perhaps remember the last update video I did where I showed my 60th scale Exia, I mentioned this problem. And there it is. So, hopefully I won't have to deal with this too much longer. At any rate, there are the eyes. I think they look pretty decent, and I think they'll look even better inside the head. So, anyway, I just thought you might like to see those eyes glowing, since I never really show my neon stuff anymore, and I apologize for that. But at any rate, that is pretty much all I've gotten done thus far. And as for my future plans for this kit, like I said, I'd be coloring like the shield and some of the weaponry in that different color, which also, if I ended up getting a master grade ground type Gundam, I would use that same color on it, just for continuity's sake. And then in terms of other details, you know, on sort of a more cosmetic end, I was thinking of trying, you know, to add some of the grime details, like here on the shoulder or the front skirt there, a little bit on the shield up there, you know, just sort of some rougher details and stuff. Maybe a few dings here and there, nothing major. I don't want to like have it with its arm or head chopped off or some crazy level of battle damage like that or anything. I just want to make it look like it's been slightly used. So I'm going to have to find some good tutorials that'll show me how to do that. And then when I do, I'll see if I can practice on spare plastic or something. But at any rate, that's basically my plan. Some of the colors I've thought about using would be, for one thing, this Tamiya Royal Light Gray. Tried it out a little bit, but these Tamiya acrylics, they dry out really quick, so it's kind of hard to dry brush with them. You'd need to thin them down a bit, and that kind of, you know, defeats the purpose. So I'm not sure if this would work or not. But something else that works a little better is this enamel light gray from Model Masters. It's got that code there, so you know what kind of light gray it is. Anyway, it's pretty similar to the white or the ivory color that the rest of the main body is in, but it's darker enough that it's, you know, slightly noticeable. And at any rate, it could be like just the slightest bit of dirt and grime is, you know, caking around a little bit of the edges, maybe dripping down. At any rate, I think it would look pretty good. But I'm not going to charge ahead on that until I know what I'm doing, so that's going to require some time and research. And anyway, whenever I do have another little batch of stuff to show you guys, I guess I'll make a video for that, probably in this less formal style. You know, it's a little easier for this way, instead of compiling an entire artistically styled video like I did for my other kits this year. But at any rate, yeah, whenever I have anything more to show, I'll make a video for it, if I find the time. But anyway, I guess that's it for now, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until the next time, I'll catch you later, everybody.